and what a year it has been. It's done 52 films, 52 weeks, plus a couple films that I've seen outside of this project, but I have fully documented a film for each week of 2025. And it's really interesting to see the year form and to really see how 2025 is represented in cinema, because there are patterns that you start to pick up on and certain elements that you start to notice about how 2025 will potentially look historically. I mean, this has been a year of, say, the resurgence of the vampire film. This has been a year of the attempted return of superhero films, going back to basics with Fantastic Four and Superman, trying to go back to the simplicity of classic superhero films to middling-ish success. We still are seeing big franchise films plod along and continue to be successful. Unfortunately, to some degree, the live-action remake of classic Disney films seem to be doing very well in this year, between Lilo and Stitch, which I didn't cover, The How to Train Your Dragon, which I did. And then you've got strange phenomenon like directors like Bong Joon-ho or Yorgos Lanthimos, who, despite their monumental successes, had middling-ish years of films that were okay received, but not massively received. Of course, the massive winner of this year has been the horror genre. I mean, it is a strange one because there's no data that would tell you why this year in particular horror has done so well compared to previous years or compared to other genres. But for whatever reason, people were really feeling like this was the year for it, between Weapons, Sinners, The Monkey, Final Destination, just an absolute smorgasbord of a variety of different horrors, you know, something slightly more off-key like Together, for instance, which feels very different from some of those others I mentioned. And strangely, and it's tied, but only to some degree, what a year for Stephen King, because there were so many Stephen King films out, and I'm sure maybe we've had years where there have been numerous Stephen King films, but this feels like a year where this was the year of Stephen King, and not just in the horror space. You know, a film like Life of Chuck, for instance, indicates that, you know, we've had other kinds, or The Running Man, which some would debate whether it's a horror or not, but again, it is a Stephen King year, which indicates that people are looking for something that's quote-unquote interconnected in regards to a singular voice, but they want a fresh version of it. That was something else that was interesting, is that this is a year where we've had attempts to look at classic genres or classic story structures and styles, but from a new perspective. You know, you've had a film like The Materialists that takes that kind of classic rom-com structure to it, but really tried to look at it from a new perspective. Despite having had several of them, you know, you take a movie like Wake Up Dead Man that, again, really shows that the murder mystery has still a lot to you know, keep going for it. So, yeah, it's interesting because hopefully next year we'll see certain continuations, maybe this genre experimentation, maybe we'll see some more surrealist style films that we saw this year. I doubt whether we'll have 2 consecutive years of massive success for horror, but one will be quite pleased if that's the case. You never know. Next year could be finally the year that Westerns has their turn again. But it has been a joy. It really has, to be able to actually look at the year in this way and discuss these films with you. And yeah, I hope that some value has come out of this, and thank you very much for following and watching 2025 in review.